and good evening. It's not that late there, I guess, but thanks again for joining us today. All right,
You're
next
welcome.
slide. Next slide, please. And Tagawa-san, if you want, you can always turn off your camera too. I don't know if you remember to do that, but just remind you of that. So I'm going to do just a little bit more overview of the NFC Forum, and then we'll jump into kind of the primary topics for today. As Tagawa-san highlighted, the NFC Forum's primary goal is enabling this contactless lifestyle. And the goal is to do this all with simply just a tap. Many of you are very familiar with the technology being used in payment. And what our ambitions have been is to extend that good user experience to other use cases, because almost all of us already have a mobile phone with NFC technology built into it. So we already have half of the solution in our hand. Next slide, please. And you may have to build this. No, I guess it does build itself. Thank you. So what I've been evangelizing for the past couple of years is this idea is I do believe that we are on this long arc towards the ubiquity of this contactless lifestyle. And it only would be possible today with the incredible success of the payment industry by using bank cards for the ability to do contactless payment. But the concept of the digital wallet on your mobile phone is continuously evolving. And this is some of the things we're going to be talking about today. But we've seen it used for loyalty programs. Obviously, we see it used in many major cities for transit to be able to use your phone to tap and ride. We're going to be learning later today about ticketing as relates to events. There are also some additional developments coming in identity and ticketing beyond, say, for instance, events work. And then, of course, kind of the last step on this road is the idea of us using our phones as our digital keys. So whether it be with our car or even perhaps our home or office, these will all be use cases that will be delivered through the work of the NFC Forum. And so obviously being a member, not only are you kind of in the know before things happen, but you can also build businesses around all of these different categories. So we believe, or at least I believe, that our mobile phone and its digital wallet will be the way we'll interact with many other items and services in the world, and NFC will be at the key of that solution. Next slide, please. Now, Tagawa-san talked, thank you. Tagawa-san did talk briefly at a more technical level, but if I were to kind of go back up, one thing that I get asked quite often is what's unique about NFC. And there's four items that are very important that I think are unlike other radios that may be included in your device. Let's say like a Bluetooth radio or a Wi-Fi radio, and now in some newer devices even ultra wideband. The first unique feature of NFC that's very important to remember is this notion of intention. Because the range is so very short, only a few centimeters, you have to get your device within, just almost touching the device, this contactless touching point, the tapping piece of this. Other radio technologies don't do that. And so inherently, NFC will be already is very, very secure by this notion of this intentional feature. It's also very intuitive with the idea that all you need to do is tap to activate the user experience. The radio is also bi-directional, so you can also deliver power and you can enhance security in some use cases that people have done. And the fact that it's supported natively by the major mobile device operating systems means that as a developer, you can always count on the technology being in the device that your users are going to have. And that doesn't require an add-in or a piece of software, for instance. It's actually built into the operating system. Next slide. And you may have to build this slide, yeah. So, you know, the drivers that I think are going to help us with the adoption is the fact that, as Tagawa-san mentioned, is the number of smartphones. Another feature, the third item on the handset side is, you know, the device manufacturers have made it accessible from the lock screen. So, for instance, in many transit use cases, I'm able to just tap the phone without even turning on the screen or using the biometrics to actually activate the technology. I just have to tap. Another feature that's very important is this low power operation for NFC. That's very critical. And for instance, in the car use case, the last thing you want is a novel radio technology that when the phone battery is dead, you can't get in or start your car. NFC does not have that problem, which is obviously very important. Some other things that NFC does not require is the user doesn't have to turn on the camera. There doesn't have to be an optical scanner on the other side. You don't need a custom application, and it doesn't even require the battery for most use cases. So all of these, we believe, are going to be additional drivers for the adoption of NFC technology. Next slide. As Tagawa-san mentioned, that these are basically the activities that the forum oversees. The first one is use case ideation. Our special interest groups, along with our member companies and the entire standards community, designs what use cases we think NFC would be appropriate for. From there, the next step is to go off and develop specifications. We have an infrastructure and working groups and task force to do that, along with our liaison partnerships. We have testing and compliance to ensure interoperability. And then we also have marks for, and also support on the marketing side for market-ready solutions. And as Tagawa-san mentioned, membership is very affordable and is an easy way to connect into the ecosystem and also to network with other companies that might be working on similar or companion technologies. Next slide, please. All right, so this is real quickly, just some real top level items as it relates to activities at the NFC Forum. As you should expect, there's obviously an active specification development work underway. Wireless charging was one of our more recent big initiatives that was announced last year. We're hopeful to be seeing products maybe as early as this year, but more likely next year. Again, as Tagawa-san mentioned, this is not the key technology that you, like, for instance, charge your phone with today. It's a very low power solution, and our expectation is that you will see your phone being able to charge devices, like, for instance, your headphones or something like that while you're away. We've also recently updated our certification program. We're in the process of opening that up to non-members. Historically, if you wanted to certify a product, or at least get a product certified by the NFC Forum, you would have to be a member. We're in the process of loosening those rules. I would work with your test lab for further details on that if you're working on a hardware product that requires certification. That's a very big change for us, and we know that that'll help a lot of our liaison partners as well begin to consider using our certification program to ensure interoperability, which is what we all want in terms of our products working with one another. We're going to see some work today around our increased focus on user experience. The technology is very easy to use, but we have very, very high expectations in terms of how we can improve it. And you'll see some information about that. And that's been a big focus over the last couple of years in terms of the consumer research we've done and also this wayfinding effort. And there is always this ongoing liaison relationship work, and it's across all the different industries you might expect. What you've seen, for instance, in the automotive market is work that we do in liaison, for instance, with the Car Connectivity Consortium. In transit, there's a number of industry organizations that we work with there, access control, mobile accessories. The theme of the NFC Forum is to really be an enabler of the technology and work with as many parties as we can to make the technology successful. And you can see thus far the results have actually proved to be quite good so far. So anyways, that's really quickly on the update on initiatives. Next slide. I think that's the last one.